And I'll have to sit a little bit. How many of you know what TIPI is? Half of the room, most of the room. Okay, TIPI. TIPI makes your TI beep 3 times. Demo done.
Any questions?
But wait, there's more.
But wait, there's more, yeah. So last year we demonstrated TIPI, and it was a wire prototype still. I was using an FPGA board to do all the programmable logic. Now we actually have it in production. I wish I should have an article here I could hold up, but it plugs into the little 32K side port adapter I had made the year before, and it hooks up to a Raspberry Pi. And then there are TI-DSR ROM on the board that tells the TI how to talk to it. It primarily does level 3 I/O, it does most of the level 2 I/O in the TI, so basically you can use it as your file system. And then we have some low-level protocols we've exposed. I can try and demonstrate. We have TCP socket access, we have mouse access, and as often as possible, as I'm working with the software, if we build low-level stuff, I'm trying to make it available at the high-level, basic, standard file system level. So you can like open up a URL and fetch the data from it with pi.http something or you can open up a socket just in basic with pi.tcp equals and then the IP address import. And we demoed that stuff last year. There's videos on that. That stuff still works. But a lot of the hard work has been getting it packaged and productized. And it's an ongoing project. There's
It's constantly evolving. Every time we figure out how to do something, we think of something else.
yeah, it'll always be an ongoing project. I have done a bunch of work to make it compatible with DM2K, so that's your go-to file manager. If you're using TIPI.dot as the path, DM2K doesn't really know what that is, so it's stuck at kind of a high level. It can't do file copies and stuff at that, but if you do DSK4, it's the same location on the Raspberry Pi, serves up the same files, and the level 2 I/O is understood. So it can actually do the block level reads and writes, and it's about compatibility with legacy software that had to know hard-coded routine names for all this stuff. Do I have anything interesting? Let's go back to, sorry for the loudness. There's a management tool that we've put up. If you do call TIPI with no arguments, you get to this, call TIPI is just an EA5 program loader that's in the DSR. So it's in the ROMs on the board. But if you give it no arguments, it'll load up the TIPI config tool, which gets you here so you can actually find out what the Raspberry Pi's IP address is, all the version information. If you're having trouble, I'll need to know that. And then we have drive mappings. One of the things I did, because accessing URLs is, we have a 32 column display, and most people only give you like 10 to 20 characters to enter in a file path. And so, our legacy software, so you can define these kind of, they're not really drives, you can't catalog them or anything, but they're aliases to a URL prefix. So URI 1, URI 2, and URI 3 can be used to fetch programs. And I can demonstrate, I think I can demonstrate this. This would work in EA5 as well, but URI 3, hopefully my Wi-Fi is working. Sorry. Old TI games. But anyway, that just loaded this game off of the internet right into the TI and we started playing it. Omega has a question.
Yeah, about that. Some people still don't have, final ROMs or flash ROMs. If there was a bunch of programs available and a listing so people would know, that would be fantastic.
Yes, we could easily make a menu, the metadata file of all this stuff on the web
All it
page.
really requires is someone to make the naming program and put it up on the website.
So not to put too fine a point on this, but you're accessing the internet from BASIC.
Yes.
Yeah.
You can access the internet from BASIC.
Of the ROMs.
And we've actually even done some stuff using the
I guess you say it.
Senior Falcon, Harry Wilhelm's basic compiler, and it can work with these high-level things. So hopefully, everybody whose hobby is also programming in BASIC, reliving the glory days as our children, as we were children, you can still do that. And
it's people are going to have when people actually realize what this thing can do. If you can access the internet from BASIC on the TI, that alone opens up so many doors, so many opportunities. There's just so much cool stuff this thing can do just that alone. And you just got started.
it's always software, man.
Yeah.
The sky's the limit. It's awesome. Go for it.
A way to save to that too. So like say if two people wanted to work on a basic program together, one guy could do something and the other guy could download it and do some more code to it and send it back up.
I haven't planned on doing any kind of save operation. That requires setting up a server that's specific to the TIPI out on the internet.
Okay.
And so I've kind of kept it agnostic.
The one thing you could
I have
know
ideas.
is the Raspberry Pi understands the internet. So you could say, for instance, put things on your TIPI in a certain directory and tell them to Pi, put that on the website.
Right.
Yeah. So you have to give them your
Or you
IP.
could use a GitHub repo, or you could do anything you can do with a regular PC. You can just do with Pi.
Right. Like for instance, you could mount an FTP site as a directory underneath the TIPI folder.
Yeah.
And I had experimented this with the WHTech. It's super slow if you catalog, but because it has to download all that in order to see what it is. But
Save to that directory, it's going to upload to your
yeah,
automatically on Pi.
I wish I remembered everything. Disks dot. How do
You should
you?
use that cool program I wrote.
I should use that cool program you wrote.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you have it on your drive?
Probably, because I don't have much else but what we experiment with. Did you compile it?
Yeah. No, it won't compile.
Oh, okay.
It has to be extended.
Was it?
Unfortunately, the compiler won't support internal file formats, so until I convince Gary to do it. There it is. TIPI map.
TIPI map, thank you. Was it XB or?
Sorry. I wanted to do that.
Load up some XB. I need to do this anyway. As you can tell, I prepared nothing for this time.
That's what the TI is all about. So I threw together this little program because people can never remember what the path is to the folder that they put on their drives. So this little program catalogs the TIPI and lets you select with the arrow keys which folder you want to be this one, or this two, or this three.
NVIDIA this is that TIPI config tool that I kept popping up to do disk mapping. The config files for the TIPI are actually also exposed to the TI as just things you can use regular writing to. You theoretically open up pi.config in editor assembler's editor and just edit it and write it back out. Or you can write custom little things to change those mappings dynamically as you need them in your programs. And
Inside your program, you could just do the same thing I did there. Just open pi.config and change the drive too.
Actually, if you use 4A dots and you do a directory of TIPI or BSK4, it'll show all the subdirectories and everything else you got on your TIPI. You don't even have to use the map. Just go TIPI dot whatever the directory.
yeah, but the mapping is if you need a legacy piece of software like I'm about to show, like TI Artist, that requires things to be in a well-known location. Inspot's the directory, so then I just mount it. Select. I know.
Hey, Matt.
The TI.
Is it easy to, at the moment, to add something you can run from basic, just basically define that this function gets run when somebody runs a command line on the TI? Is that something that's easy to do at the moment?
Don't think I understand the goal.
I type something on the TI and a function in Python or whatever gets run onto the Pi.
No, I don't have code execution on the Pi set up.
Okay, well, if that becomes a thing that's doable, I have some ideas for GitHub from the TI.
If you like to torture yourself, be my guest. We did build the Raspberry Pi software to try and be as extensible as possible. So, like, we've got Corey's secret formulas to do some interesting networking activity that's been upleveled to BASIC as well. And it's pretty simple to hook that in to the framework. So here is the artist, and this is the mouse plugged. It's a USB mouse plugged into the Raspberry Pi, but then that's exposed to TI artist, and so we can do all kinds of good stuff and drive poorly. Draw poorly is what I meant to say. Should always drive well.
Some of Lenny's artwork.
No.
Come on, certain ones are okay. It's a little fun.
Anyway, it's a mouse driver. A TI artist isn't really designed, even though it was designed to have a pluggable object files to control the user input device. The algorithms aren't really designed like this is the painting, but it still leaves in dots. If you move the mouse a little fast,
It's part of the problem is that the mouse driver on the Pi is just a little fast for the TI to keep up with.
and it,
So you just have to go slow, or what you do is you just do the rough with the draw command and then go into zoom, and then in zoom it works perfectly.
yeah.
So,
But we got middle mouse button
So
to
it
go
just
back and
has-
forth.
It just adds more code to it, so with the zoom, so it basically
it slows it down
buffers
just
it.
enough to where it works.
Yeah.
Still way more effective than the joystick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With the joystick, all I can do is draw straight lines. I can't do anything sort of.
The whole thing was designed for the
diagonal.
joystick, though. One
I can draw.
pixel at a time motion, and mouse always move in like the knight in chess, right?
What, so, the main programming language you're using for the TIPI in accordance with the TI is Python?
No, so the code that runs on the Raspberry Pi is all mostly Python. It's 99% Python. There's a tiny bit of C code. On the TI side, there's assembly language code on the hardware. That gives us the drivers and everything to talk here. And then this driver for TI artist had to be written in assembly language so it could talk to the mouse. We've been doing a bunch of stuff on the TI side in BASIC, like that program I used to pick to run TI artist, map it, that was done in BASIC. But we've been doing a bunch of, Corey and I mostly work in C for the TI, using GCC on a PC to do cross-compile.
So are you using C99, the old?
No, it's a relatively new patch to GNU C compiler,
Okay.
so it'll produce TI object code.
Cool.
I run that right on the Raspberry Pi, so it's just all self-contained.
You said that you could tell that into the Pi. Could we see that?
You can turn it into the Pi. I have to remember how to use the software. I ship with the software on the TIPI, the Telnet client, and Pete's asking because Pete helped me out with that quite a bit. So there's a Telnet program in the net folder. If you're not used to directories on the TI, the thing that just disappeared between the dots is a directory.
Oh, what is?
And
So you have an F18A, you can do 80 columns.
Yeah. I'm wondering what happens if you type in what is it, WDS1?
Well,
The old DM.
It'll support the
DM
in
file.
the BIOS chip. So now he's on the TI, log in with Pi.
I'm logged into the Pi. 99% of the time, you should never want to do this. This is my goal. I would prefer this is a developer feature or a get out of jail feature if you screwed up your Pi. But it's there in the Telnet client.
TI driver.
This is an ANSI compatible Telnet client. Pete helped me greatly with getting all the color support. But this is a Linux system, and all of your files are, oops, wrong directory.
File and hack the version on from TI.
All your TI files are stored on the Raspberry Pi under the TIPI disk folder and they're in TI files formats, which is as opposed to the V99 files format. And like that's just a directory.
So they're distinguishable. They're DF80, DV80, etc. D file types.
Yes, there's a header on each of these that describe it. It's the same as like the old X modem file format. When you download it. But if you uploaded the TI file to a PC with X modem. Anyway, so there's where that Telnet program is at. Something that's really interesting, or maybe a lot of people like.
Heatwave.ddns.net.
What about the organist?
Like that. 9640?
Yeah, that's Portland.
Where did they ever get
He's a
that
big Geneva
for?
fan, so.
Login, search. Kevin was the last one on. I don't remember my username on this thing. Gonna go to the keep.
Yeah, the cube. So you can test those ANSI colors.
That's right. That's what I was hoping to do real quick.
Yep.
Normally, if it'll detect the socket has been disconnected, then it'll.
Do you have a call command for that? Call the key.
Keeps down right now. Give him a minute.
Oh.
Oh.
Ran out of disk space.
Uh-oh. Okay, well, I don't have an ANSI target to show the beautiful
You
color.
can do Heatwave 964.
I don't know how to log in.
Right, come on.
You want to log in?
Right now, ready.
Kevin was just there. Kevin could come up and.
Kevin to log in. You log
Well,
in.
let's get Kevin up here. Heatwave.dns.net.
Net.
Thank you.
Yeah.
9640.
Heatwave's got their answer.
Is the orphanage still there? Is it still the orphanage in South Carolina?
Start with the Atari Age. There's a thread there. I created a TIPI
With the report
thread. And
Rich Bells.
Rich Bells.
my website for it is kind of like
very similar. Put up a new
GitHub Wiki.
Barry Trapper?
And those are linked to
Traver?
the top of the support.
Okay.
Okay.
Hold on a sec. There you go. Fancy color. IBM graphics.
Color. Per character color.
The only thing missing from Telnet is file transfers.
What?
No file transfers.
Rip graphics.
On TI.
Sure, why not?
Nancy Graphics is wonderful on the
You know,
TIs.
20 years ago when they came up with Rip graphics, they told me that they're going to hook an internet up to the TI. I said, yeah, right. Like they've been talking about that for years.
Where'd you put it? Got the wrong header.
You want to get it?
It says 250.
No, it's supposed to be 282, it should say 282.
So that's what you saved. So I'm thinking what you saved was the ROM image that you uploaded.
Yeah, so.
The message you are reading.
Why did you just say
The library near you.
Cool. Sponsored by Blue Coffee.
We would not have to go to court.
Call version. Version X. It's call version.
Yeah, I try to separate characters from
We,
actors.
So, yeah.
So when you C-save what was loaded,
Yeah, I can get rid of it.
if you get rid of 2015.
So we have to get the here.
Okay.
it'd be perfect if you played the Pink Floyd background.
Oh, you typed it.
Wish you were here.
So this is using TCP access from C, and it's doing it through assembly language messaging routines that are on the TIPI's ROM. And so those can be called.
Teapot? Flying teapot?
The mouse driver was using those same routines. Those are just something you can, you set up the GPL workspace appropriately, and then you branch to those routines and send messages. Messages are like, normally when it receives a message on the Raspberry Pi, it expects it to look like a PAB, 8 disk IO request, but if the first byte dictates which disk IO request it is, and so for things like TCP, we just use a different number and send it to a different subsystem. It opens up a socket, bring it out of the socket, and you can actually have 256. You can have 256 sockets open up on the TI if you want. Every time you make a request to it, you have to tell it which socket number you want to use.
Gotta hit F9 a couple times.
F9.
Or any key.
Logging you off at.
Probably just hit any key.
Yeah, now we're disconnected.
Key keeps up.
He did a 64 column mode in bitmap. It's awesome, except then my cursor control is not awesome.
It sort of works.
This will work on a stock TI-99 with no
Right.
F18A.
Right. 64 column. I turned off color for it, and yeah, I want to color on it. I need to give you some feedback because there's buggy and get hot push.
Not surprising.
But so this is using a slightly older version, but oh yeah, text in bitmap mode, and I'll just do localhost again, and you can see why. TP login.
Looks good.
You see how the cursor is screwing things up because it's reading memory to decide what it should alternate the character
just
with,
picking a random
and
thing.
because it's bitmap, it's just reading completely the wrong memory. And if you do need to log into the Raspberry Pi through this in order to like configure Wi-Fi expert mode or something like that, have a person. My TIPI config tool only supports really standardized Wi-Fi configs. But somebody was successfully get to work with his open Wi-Fi network. Just had to give him some commands to type in here to reconfigure. What else is fun about TIPI? TIPI has a lot of potential. That's the most fun part.
Chatty, chess.
I think, does Corey want to show things like that later?
Yeah.
I'm gonna write Corey down. Those are his babies.
Programs.
Or you can bring them up, I don't care.
Okay, your $64,000 question. When can we play online Munchman?
And
Multiple players.
Three-player.
you want to just demo now? while we're in the groove.
Or
We're gonna run out of time. It'll be lunchtime by the time we're done talking about TIPI. Here's sort of an example of a little menu, Omega. So I want to run Chatty from the internet. Corey's been working hard on this. I haven't logged in a while. Makes lots of noises.
Those are all your messages you have.
You can see a list of all the people.
Oh, you just said service. Everybody who's ever signed up to TI-99.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a few warts.
Now that we have views of that,
Yeah.
manage the real estate a little better.
So if you I'll get on Chatty over here and I'll chat with you.
Okay.
I'm not gonna go online. Yeah, so this is just a very simple chat program that just pulls the server, says, do anything new for me, here's my session, and draws the screen. And so it can detect things like a new message coming in, or if somebody's online status changed, like no one's logged in, it just refreshes that. So it just does polling and wait, polling and wait.
But no buffering or saving messages or anything like that?
It does in that they're saved on the server side, so you ask this, it doesn't store them locally, so if you ask for, the message, your messages when you're in a chat with somebody, pull them across and they stick around on the server side though. Okay. So yeah, see these are all the whole messages. In C.
So as there's update, you'll get messages. Just gotta wait a couple seconds for it. The one thing about the TI is that you're always yelling when you start and you realize you turn off your caps lock.
Caps lock! Oh crap!
Now that I've learned more about bitmap,
Ah.
I'll be able to make this look a lot better.
I usually have a PC keyboard attached, so I don't know how to type anymore.
So for instance, I've been sitting on, I just leave this on when I'm working at home in the other window, and so Chris is from logging on Shift 838 and just sending me messages we've been talking about his SCART board that he's building. Just real time, sitting at my TI.
Yeah.
Cool. Pretty cool.
That is a protocol that's also exposed through BASIC.
Is there ever going to be a dedicated game server for TIPI?
There it is.
But well, I mean that. Oh yeah, okay. YTech.
Yeah. MyTI-99.com is already set up to be a game server. The same protocol that Chatty works with we use for gaming. In fact, Matt might demonstrate a game that's already written for it.
Oh yeah, for chess.
Well, chess is one, yeah. Because there's one in BASIC too. Already written.
TI.com.
MyTI-99.com. That's of course the server.
It's a virtual server in Dallas, Texas.
Is that wrong?
Yep. It decided.
So that server has a registration system, so if you make an account on there, that's how you can log in on the TI and it uses that user database for distinguishing between users and keeping all the traffic stuff.
I don't have a TIPI yet, so can I just use a regular?
Some of it does load up on a modern computer in the browser, and you can register. In fact, you have to register using a modern browser. I haven't made a registration system yet. But the games, I do have web versions of all the games, so I can, play chess on the phone with other people, but I try not to. I try to actually fire up the TI and do it.
Okay.
That's kind of the whole spirit of it.
It seems to be deceased now because we're in a demo.
That's what happens.
Raspberry Pi is hosed, I think, because anyway. Oh well. It's because I rebooted the TI while I was in the middle of one of your calls.
We just gotta give it.
There's no timeouts on that.
Oh yeah. Sometimes it'll do it.
So that just connects through a 32K sidecar, you said?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Through the 32K sidecar.
Yeah, it's got the pin connector, so it won't connect to anything else except for another pin connector, and it requires the 5 volts to be on the connector. So the only device currently that provides that is the 32K sidecar because it's designed to fit together. Theoretically, you could make your own card edge to 44 pin connector with power on it, if you feel like it. But 32K is what, $50? So, and then you have like an all-in-one TI that's on the internet, so you don't have to have anything.
I have to power off the Pi.
There's a peripheral expansion box card in design right now. He's working on putting out, getting the first boards for it, hopefully in the next week or two, and then testing and testing and testing. Make sure it doesn't make your peripheral expansion box card on fire.
For a TIPI?
Yep, so you can plug TIPI into here. I actually ordered...
I thought you were kidding about that.
No, I've been trying really hard to get people to understand, don't buy the thing if you have a PEB. If you like your Sam's card and you have a PEB, wait a little bit. I actually ordered first run PC boards for the PEB just a couple days ago. So we'll be...
but it will run with the AMS card, in memory?
We'll run with it.
Yeah. So it'll just go in here. It doesn't, the TIPI doesn't itself use any of your memory directly.
But there's no conflicts, right?
No conflicts. There's no conflicts with the TI floppy controller either. The board has CRU based jumpers, so you can pick any of the 16 CRU bases that you want.
Nice.
If
Kevin
you-
and Corey were mentioning that Wi-Fi inside the P box is going to suck.
Yeah, you can choose to mount your Raspberry Pi on the board and run an Ethernet cable, or you can use the connector to route your Raspberry Pi outside. It's fine.
You guys ready to have to stock some extra long cables?
Yeah.
Yeah. I wanted to try and get into the chess program real quick. There is an automatic update mechanism that works from the TIPI config tool. So if I push out new code to the GitHub server, and you go into TIPI config, it will detect that, and you can just hit U, and it'll update, and you'll get new features or bug fixes, and it's still broken, so it's broken. Maybe I can try and fix it during lunch.
So, do you have version numbers for all your
Yeah.
TIPI config
Yeah.
files?
At the top of the TIPI config, you'll see there's like 3 different version numbers. We got the date code in the ROM. We've got the version number of the Raspberry Pi software.
Okay, and so it'll show that when you update.
Yep. And anyway, any other questions about TIPI?
So one of the cool things about Chatty is once, the basic stuff's already proven, so you could add things to Chatty like you're talking about the other day about adding things for the games to make it use Chatty and communicate with you. Like if you're in Chatty, it could say it's your turn in chat. Or whatever game comes out, you can do that because you've got that API opened up for you.
So you're talking about online chatting while at the same time doing the game.
Yeah, the chat would notify you notifications for the games, or even better, once we get figured out how to do it, then we can even exit Chatty into a game. Get on Chatty and say, hey, you want to play chess, and then jump into chess.
How about we have our own email type version, mine type version of email for the TI?
Why even bother? You can send emails from the TI now. You have TCP access.
I know,
All you have
but
to do is write the code.
But it would be more TI only, locals only.
But you get an email addressing through my TI-99.com account.
No,
So,
just like the key.
it's like,
There we go.
Yeah, cool.
so you could easily write in C or in BASIC even an email program.
Sure.
I'm messing around with pulling down web pages, but there's no reason you can't just, because email on POP3 is just a download session.
Well, that's something else too. Has anyone tried to get on actually doing some kind of HTML conversion for doing. But it's, I
It's
mean.
been working for a while.
Yeah.
Time.
Yeah, well, plus at the same time too, within a month it could change radically.
That's right.
And so, by the time you've written it, it's already obsolete.
Yep.
So this is Corey's chess program using TIPI to communicate, take turns playing chess across the internet using the same protocol that the same,
Same as chatty.
same chatty protocol for doing just kind of high level multi-machine communication. We call it.
This is compatible with your TI browser version of chess too,
That's right, yeah.
So if you have the TI browser with the UDS 10 and you can play chess, you can play against people with TIPIs. Be a good one.
I'm just going to demonstrate that nobody should try and play chess with me. My moves are horrible.
Alright, so I'll make a move here. I'm cheating. I didn't bring my TI.
Corey's going to play from his
I'll just, make a dumb move, which I'll pretend is not happening.
there.
So you can see what it's doing there. It's pulling for changes, refreshing the screen.
Yeah.
And I'm going to hide that so it only refreshes if there's an actual change. I haven't gone that far yet. I keep running out of memory. So I just made a move, and in a second, hopefully, we'll tell him that is his turn.
There it is.
Yep.
His move was highlighted here. So you can tell since it's turn-based and like using you to play chess. But
It works. And all the validation happens on the back end. I couldn't put all that logic in. I have this program on the TI side, so it's really just submitting moves to an API that says you can't move there. There's a whole bunch of other code. Not running on a TI.
So right now, the chatty program is kind of pushing the limit of memory.
It is because I don't think it's very efficient. I mean, the chess should not eat up 32 gig RAM. I just keep hitting that wall and refactoring and reducing, and it's really just.
you're not using most of the lower 8K.
I'm not.
That's part of it. We have to figure out how to creatively utilize that.
Right.
Yeah.
I also think it's not producing very often assembled code. I don't know. I haven't looked at it for a while.
Anyway,
It's basically a proof of concept for the protocol that I developed for playing these games on the internet. I'm in the process of publishing documentation for how it works, and my TI-99 server is something I'm going to give to the community for anybody who wants to write a game and there's back-end code to do any move validation or whatever. Just put code up there. If you're interested, talk to me.
yep.
So you want to show rock, paper, scissors?
Rock, paper, scissors. You want to see rock, paper, scissors?
We'll show you some examples in basic, so you have it on the drive. You can use that.
RPSC
RPS.
for
the C,
Corey.
The executable, yeah. So I compiled it. So it's written in BASIC, but I compiled it so you can run the assembly version.
So once we got this stuff working, I asked the guys, we need to make a simple game to demo it. And Greg said, make rock, paper, scissors, spot. So I made rock, paper, scissors so far. It's just in BASIC, and it uses the same protocol.
You can make a game called
You
Best West.
have to give it a game name, and it publishes that on the server, just an arbitrary variable name called Best West, and then
Give me a sec, mine's a little
you can
slower.
play it.
Okay, now you can do it. My Pi 0 so it's a little slower.
Your move. What would Corey, or what would Greg have done? The first time Greg and I played this, I thought, what would Greg do? And we tied 5 times in a row.
Wow, okay, psychic connection. That was the guy.
Finally, we're still even.
Finally won a game.
Yeah. Anyway, this was written in BASIC,
Yeah,
and
BASIC.
it just did,
Console
and it was also compiled. So he ran the
I'm running the basic version, and he's running the compiled version.
But same source code. So, and now Richard's, oh, paying attention. Anyway.
So it does have all the validation in it. It's just using my TI-99 as a place to write a variable, here's my move, here's the game name, and that's all that's being exchanged, and all the
The initial
complex logic
handshake
of
looks to
deciding
make
who
sure
wants
you're
what
happy.
is happening in basic.
Yeah.
You use this Chatty to authenticate your account. If you're not authenticated, it tells you to run Chatty and authenticate.
Right.
So pretty cool. And if you can do that, TI basic, you can do anything head to head. It's not super lightning fast because you have to do file data transfer times, but so it's not like real time. Like your demonstration last year with your tank game, that wouldn't be so great in basic. It might be okay in some of
It wouldn't be so great bouncing those packets off of a server far away and back.
Yeah.
There'd be a lot of latency.
but maybe you could send each other's IP addresses across.
Then you
All
gotta
the way to
modify
all the
your
time.
firewall to let packets come in, but we'll have advanced users doing that, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Well, that's why I was thinking that it would make more sense to have like a software repository that was like the my TI-99.4a.com, because that way you could actually store some of the code, if not a majority of the code.
Well,
on
like he's
the
running out
server.
of room in chess and memory, so he's
That
storing
guy's
the
on
character
the
definitions on